Unemployment is near all-time lows. There are 11 million plus open jobs today and only 6 million job seekers. The Great Resignation and Great Reset are in full gear. And for the first time in your work life, this is your market. So why? Why can't you find the job you really want? Why can't you get the money, the pay you really want?
All of a sudden, it seemed like everyone I know was changing jobs or stepping off the career ladder.
It's what's being called the Great Resignation.
Well, it's not just because you may have unrealistic expectations, although teaching art to 3-year-olds is not going to get you that $1 million.
Well, the good thing is for job seekers is that they are not only successful in interviewing, but also getting job offers and multiple offers. So that means that companies are competing for top talent. So it's a good time to be looking for a job.
So let's take a more realistic look at today's job market and figure out how you can get the job and the pay you really want. Hi, I'm James Callahan, and this is The Do-Over Show, and let's be honest, too many of us just don't know how to navigate today's job market. We stay with jobs, we under-earn those jobs, we may earn 2% if we're lucky, an increase year after year for excellent work, and with inflation at over 8%, we're actually losing money every year we stay with that good job. So let's get a grasp, let's get a handle on what's really going on. And if you're in this to find a better job and better pay, let's find a way to make that happen. Not only have I navigated this job market over the last few months and left a great job for great pay for an even greater job with greater pay, but I also work in the workforce space, marketing, and putting out there thousands of jobs for people who are looking for jobs. So let's take a closer look at how you can find the job and the pay you really want today. So let's start with the hard part. Finding a job, finding a good new job is work. It's just as much work as your regular 9-to-5 job or your ordinary job today. And you're going to have to invest in it like a job in order to get the results that you want. It's hard work that demands effort and time and study, and it means, well, at least working part-time in addition to that job that you have today.
Don't be a snob. This kind of work pays a lot of money.
It's boring.
And make it fun.
Don't underestimate this. You are your own best advocate. Don't just listen to recruiters. Don't just listen to the pitch of companies who are trying to hire you with their pizza party Fridays. And no, there are things in the job market today that you know better than anyone else, but it takes work to figure out what those things are and how they're available, if they're available in your field. Yes, there are those unicorn stories of people who have the miracle perfect job fall into their lap. I didn't even apply. They just recruited me. But for 99.9% of us in the workforce today, we have to work hard to get our next job. We have to work even harder to get a better job for more money. So plan on giving up your quality time, your free time in the evenings and on weekends to do the kind of study and research, writing, resume reviews, and tweaking and editing that you're going to need to write those cover letters, if they're necessary, and to get your resume in front of the right people at the right time. It's going to take those unique cover letters. It's going to take calling, emailing, interacting on social media, not just studying the company, but making those connections with people who are already there, reaching out and building relationships to show that you're the kind of person who not only knows their company and their market, but wants to be part of it. During my recent job search, I averaged 10 plus hours a week, some weeks even more than that, just to find out, to get those interviews, to get myself in front of the right people. And then I had 20 different interviews for different jobs. Some of them 20 minutes, some of them an hour long, some of them even went longer than that. And the investment of time and energy to prepare uniquely for each one, yes, that's extra work. And I know what people say, that all of the interviews that you have and all the time invested, that's experience. You chalk it up to experience. But here's the thing in the job market, it's so much like flipping a coin. You're not due and you're not entitled to success on the next job interview just because you had 15 failed interviews before you. It's like flipping a coin. Every single time we flip the coin, we start again at 50-50. It's never going to break in our favor. That means that the kind of necessary work, the kind of unique work that we put into each and every application has to be more than just clicking easy apply or apply now. It has to be an investment in the kind of job that you really want. And that means that even in today's job market where there are more openings than there are job seekers, that we're not entitled to a better job, another job, a higher paying job. That not only does it take the work to do that, but it takes an investment by us to show that we add value, that we're the kind of person that if they hire, we're not going to be the problem, but the problem solver for them, that we can make their life easier, that we are the value add to their hire that's going to change the course of their business. And that means no one owes us. Nope, no one owes us more, no one owes us better, no one owes us, period. The next part of this is figuring out what are the real incentives going on in the job market today. And there are three primary motives that people have for seeking jobs, new jobs. And the first one is obviously for more pay. And it's still by far the most popular reason, no matter what people say about the second one, and that is that people want to do meaningful work. They want mission-minded work. And the third reason people find that they're looking for a job is that they're looking for better work conditions, or they're trying to escape a lousy boss. Yeah, that's 1, 2, and 3 in today's job market. Almost 70% of job seekers today say they're looking for a new job because they want to make more money. I know it sounds basic, but that's what we're in it for. We don't do it for enjoyment or pleasure. We do it for pay. We exchange our time for that compensation. And the more we invest in ourselves and the more value we add to a company, to an organization, the more we expect to get paid for that. And here's the dirty secret. You'll make more money over the course of your work life if you quit your job and get a better job every 2 to 3 years over the entire course of 30 to 35 years of working. You'll make as much as 20 to 30% more over your entire work life than the person who stays at that very first job, gets 2% raises every other year or every year. Yep, you'll make more, you'll accomplish more, you'll earn more, and you'll be more valuable in the job market today if you quit your job every 2 to 3 years. Hey, and I've done this video about what the real payoff is of the Great Resignation and how much more you can make. Check it out here. That second reason that people give for looking for a new job today in the Great Reset is that, yes, they want to do more meaningful work. And the younger you are, the more meaningful work or mission-minded work is important to you, because you also have the time to invest in yourself and in the experience that you gain. The payoff may come later. You may decide that you never need the payoff or the upside financially, so you might not work in a sector that has higher paying jobs. But here's the thing. In some of the jobs, no matter what it is you do, there is a wide pay range for those jobs. And you can choose a company. You can do marketing, for example, in a nonprofit where you may start as low as $30,000 and may cap out under $100,000. But in the for-profit sector, you'll easily exceed $100,000 or $200,000 for doing exactly the same kind of work. And the third major reason most of us are looking for a job in today's work climate is that we're looking for better conditions. Yes, because of COVID. Yes, because we learned some things, but also because we don't need to work for bosses that don't know how to manage and lead. There's a big difference. Most of us have managers that manage us. They control us and they want work output and they want to measure that, and we are replaceable. But a leader is someone who will invest in you, in developing you and in growing you, and they're not insecure and they won't hold you back. And it's not a competition. When you succeed, they actually benefit from our success. That's the kind of person you want to work for, and that's the kind of person people are working for today. I know it's a common meme that people don't quit jobs or companies, they quit bosses. And yes, in a lot of respects, that's true. That's the new HR mantra. So if you're in that position, then you need to be the kind of person that's willing to invest in others to get the best out of them, not just to get managed results from them. The other thing about those work conditions is that we've learned we can do our work, most of us can do our work without a commute. All right, let's do the basic math. If there are about 250 work days in each year and you commute, say, an hour each way, each week, every day, that's 10 hours a week. That is, it's 25% of our work week is added on just for the commute. Now that's 500 hours a year that we invest in a commute. Even if it's just a half-hour commute, if it's easy, you go from here to there, that's 250 hours. We lose a month of our lives every single year just getting to our jobs. Now, why didn't we know this before COVID? Well, because most of our jobs weren't optional to be work at home or flex schedule jobs. They weren't those kind of hybrid jobs. But we've learned something today, and that is most people, except in very particular fields, people service, hospitality, healthcare. And in some of the STEM fields, you just can't work remotely, and most of the work that people in those fields do has to be there. So you're going to have to commute. But for the rest of the world, for most of the world, we can do the job by commuting from our bed to our desk. And all we have to do is comb our hair and put on a top that looks good on Zoom. Hey, and here's the next important part, and this is particularly important if we want to get paid more money for doing the same kind of work with a little more responsibility, and that is we need to learn to invest in ourselves and explore our value and spend time marketing ourselves. Now, if you've never been able to talk about yourself for a few minutes without sounding like a complete egotistical narcissist, is an egotistical narcissist even a thing, or is that redundant? I think it's redundant. Unless you've had that time and that investment in yourself to figure out who you are and how to talk about yourself in a way that makes other people feel good about you instead of just indulging your feelings. Remember, your interviewer is not your mother. She's not going to just nod her head at you and say, yes, dear. Unless you've had that time and that investment, this is going to be an exercise that you're going to have to spend time on, and that is learn to talk about yourself and your value to an organization, to a job that you don't yet have, but you can see yourself having, and pay that you think you can earn in a way that doesn't make you sound like it's all about you. One of the other things that we get to do in this space is that we have to have multiple resumes. Yeah, not just one. Unless your field is so well defined that you're a cookie cutter thing and you've got your certification and you just say, I did X and Y and Z like everybody else did X and Y and Z, but I'm just a better person. Well, then if you're not in that kind of field, and if you're in the kind of field where you're actually going to explore the value that you add to a company, then you're going to need multiple resumes, and you're going to have to write unique cover letters for just about every application. That's where we are back to that. It's going to take time and effort and work to research and understand. And then when it comes to the interviews, to figure out who it is that we're going to talk to. Some companies have a roster of employees and you can find out about the person. The next obviously is to explore LinkedIn and to find out who the people are, and not only to make connections at the company, but to figure out who it is that you're going to be talking to during your interview, to find out what they think is important, what role they play, whether they're in HR or whether they're in the department in the field you're going to want to work in, and learn how to talk to different people in different ways, but remain consistent about the value that you add. And this may be the toughest thing in today's job market, is figuring out how to navigate that. Well, 70% of us are looking for a job because we want to make more money, but we can't go into an interview saying, well, I'm here because I want to do the same work I've been doing for 10 years and I want to make twice as much money. Now, we have to go into a job interview not leading with that and not hiding it. And there will come a time to talk about money, but it's never up front. But to go into an interview not being too defensive, not being too entitled, and to get to the point of the interview when we can have a serious conversation. Hey, and if they lead with the question about what's your range in money, don't answer them. Just say, you know what, that's a great question that I'm sure we'll get to after we work through the job and after we discover more about not only you, but also me. In one recent series of interviews I had with a company, and you're going to have multiple interviews for jobs that pay more with more responsibility, I got into about the fifth interview and everything was going well. A couple of them actually repeated with the same interviewers, and we made progress and we were learning about this. But every time at the end of the interview they say, yep, we're ready to make a decision, and then they'd call and say, yeah, we want to schedule another interview. And they would go through the same thing, and then they'd end and say, yep, we're ready to make a decision. And then they'd call back and say, yeah, we want to schedule another interview. They kept moving the goal line. And then they came back and they said, yes, we want to hire you. But that took almost 8 weeks of them slow walking the interview process. I don't know if they were looking at other people and if they offered and it fell through and I was their fallback. I never even got into that with them. They made an offer, and it was a good offer. But they also came in and said, and by the way, there's no negotiating the amount of money. That's as high as we can go. And I said, thank you very much for the time and learning about your organization, but I'm going to say no. Why? Because I didn't want to be involved with an organization where everything was a constant fight with moving goal lines. And then as soon as they got to the point where they wanted to actually hire me, they said, yep, this is the ceiling. We're never going to do any more than that. It's not the kind of place I was looking for. You may be fine with that. I wasn't. And I said, no, thank you. And I moved on. Now, part of that, I was able to do that because I was already working a good job, making good money, and I wasn't necessarily needing a new job. I was exploring the job market, and that's the thing you can do now. They say it's easier to find a job when you have a job. And that's because it takes the pressure off you, and you're not going to make a stupid decision to try to say, oh, I've got to take that job because I don't have another job right now and I'm desperate for a job. If you are desperate for a job, then just take the job and keep looking for another job. If you have a job and you want to explore the job market, then go ahead and explore it. Do the interviews, take the time away, invest in that. Find out what your value is in today's job market, because you're never going to find out what your true value is today, what your earning potential is, without putting in the time and energy and exploring, putting yourself on the line and going through that. I know it's a stretch, and it makes us grow. It hurts at least. It causes a lot of things that we have to confront. But this is the time in all of your work life when you can find out what you're actually worth and not just have to depend on someone else picking you. You get to have a part of this choice. And that kind of knowledge about you, your value, and your worth in today's job market, that's worth the work. And thanks for being part of the Do-Over Show. Please, could you tap the like button, because it really helps. And while you're down there, how about you subscribe and ring the notifications bell so you don't miss the next episode. I'm so glad you found me, and I found you. Thanks.